check one, check two. Hello, hello. I am your host, Nobody, your storyteller, and your number one fan. This is Soup City Sins Obscura. And as is our way, we are preparing to get started and dive in with both feet blazing. Greetings and salutations, everybody. How we doing?
Finish these last few things.
It could be better.
Yeah, you're rocking the fan, I see.
Oh, shit, sorry. Yeah, I turned it away. Yeah. Did that help?
Every little bit helps. What could be better?
Well, Katie went out to get Mariah from work, and as they stopped to get dinner, apparently somebody followed them from the restaurant, caught up with them at a four-way stop and yelled out the window, "fat ass," and then drove off in another direction as fast as they could.
I see. And while they were being followed, did Katie or Mariah jot down their license plate?
No, I didn't. I guess they didn't realize why he wanted to stop or why he was following them until it happened, and then with him speeding off, I think they were both in a little bit of what the fuck.
Fair enough. Sorry they had to go through that. People are idiots, but they are safe and whole.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, them being safe physically and as whole as possible is all that we can properly hope for.
Yeah, but the mama bear in me has me going. If I hadn't been there, oh, he would have got his ass whipped.
Yeah. Some things happen for a reason. It's a good way of just saying that we have to occasionally, unfortunately, suck up BS in our day-to-day. And we are all gathered around the campfire of this imaginary world where these characters exist. How is everyone barring that event?
I was just about to sing the campfire song, but I stopped myself. I am fine. In slightly not as bad news, I discovered what would really happen if a vampire were ever to find out how to walk into the sunlight. And it would go something like this. Hey, I can walk into the sunlight. An older vampire comes by, sees this, and says, "Oh, so you're saying if I eat you, then I can walk in the sunlight, right? Wait, no, please don't." And that's about how that would apparently go.
Typically, yes, because kindred absorb everything just like the, as much as I generally like the ideas that Moffat manages to ruin, he was kind of spot on. There is an absorption of more than just life through blood. So most kindred who've been around long enough would automatically see that as the one shortcut they would need to, well, be the best version of themselves with your help.
That's certainly one way to put it.
Don't you want me great? Don't you want to see the best version of me? Why are you fighting? It will be over all too soon, and you'll have the best moments of your all too short immortality. No, you'll still be here as part of me. Don't you want that?
That's the way that Cain made other vampires. One of them could become immune to the sun, and then he just swoops in and eats them.
Can you say delicioso? Yum, 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 yum. Delicioso. Diablerie is delicioso.
It's no coincidence that Diablerie and Delicious both begin with D.
Alright, so we are here. We are a few minutes past hard start. Questions? Suggestions? Hypotheses, corners, or concerns we need to round off? as is always the case, as we'll outlive our sessions, and, well, thanks to the fact that nothing dies on the internet, all of our concerns otherwise, my immortal thanks. There's no other way to say that play matters, and all of your efforts and your time in breathing life into these and other characters is appreciated. Tonight, we are moving into chapter 2. Does everyone remember where we left our characters, where we left this motley, what sat there before them, what peeked around the edges of their thoughts and danced along their tongues?
Despair?
Despair is a all too well-known feeling, as if the world was crashing down on you, as if the ramrod strength of your 100% success rate in outliving and outlasting all of the troubles is not enough to face what lies just there at the horizon line. It's one of the double edges of dream, because in your dreams, in your fantasies, everything is possible, including the very real understanding that some things are, in fact, impossible. It is the only place where impossibility is an actual reality. And that is a scary thing from time to time. Every misspoken word that you utter in your own head taking on a life of its own. Every concealed atrocity you would visit upon the world actually happening. Every unkind thing that you've learned to say about yourself or the world around you, living, breathing, and writhing through those untamed vistas. It's not for the faint of heart. Unreality and all of its wild, rambling endlessness is not for those shrinking or fainting from what might be, because what might be already has been and will be again. And it's that sweet sting of both edges of that blade that keeps these creatures, because they're neither flesh nor Holy Spirit nor any of the things in between, but they are an amalgam and a gestalt being of all of those things. Their time in Arcadia, their time in Obscura, changing them fundamentally forever, even once their physical forms have faded into nothing, even once the energy that binds them into some semblance of understanding existence ceases to be. There is a forever out there for them. And that's kind of scary. Translated into several different languages they've never known, translated into several different vistas and viewpoints and perspectives that they could never quite wrap their minds around, and still everything that they've touch, or have dreamed of doing so keeps them moving forward through time in some shape, fashion, or form. So, with our quietude of understanding sitting here before us, I'd like to say that this is officially, without any shadow of a doubt, Soup City Sins Obscura, Book 4, Chapter 2. Small Town Holy Vampirism. There is a understanding as to what vampires are in popular zeitgeist. They are creatures of the night, too sexy, too cool to ever be allowed to live. They are masters of all that they survey in one fashion or another. They are also the ideology of the outsider. Throughout the history of literature and human imagination, vampires have existed as a rarefied example of what being outside of the natural flow of things could and should be. They've taken the place of angels and demons and creatures under the bed. There's a myth involving them in nearly every language. They are what happens when longing, ostracization, and defiance persist beyond death. They defy the natural order. They break the bonds of family. They shatter taboos. They titillate the imagination and cause no small amount of undue fear at the back of everyone's mind. Everyone has an idea as to what they are, what they might be, what they are capable of. But I'd like to offer a small difference. While they encapsulate all of those ideas, what they are, varying ever minutely from society to society, is us trying to wrap our minds and our imaginations upon what it would be like to not only be everlastingly lonely, but together in that loneliness with so many others. They are an example of what our society rushes towards, separated by distance of no more than a few feet or a few inches, but yet wholly immersed in our worlds that don't exist. Together in our loneliness is what modern vampirism might actually mean. There's always that ever hungry longing for something more, that need, that want. Yet in every mythology, in everyone's back of their minds, there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of vampires operating in one localized area, and they are together in that loneliness, in that void and emptiness. And that I'd like to offer is what modern vampirism is. It's a mirror for our own society. It's a mirror for where most of us are, alone, together, endlessly. And that's where the changeling differ. They are together sharing the milk of loneliness, of being ostracized and set off from society. They are the things that should be the harbingers of hope, joy, happiness, and every other fantastically bright, sterling idea that we hitch our stars and our wagons to. Yet our modern society, our modern world is no less lonely for them. And as they lick their wounds emotionally and mentally from our last conversation with this motley, that reality is not something that they can easily escape. Failure to act is acting in failure. Whether Mr. Wednesday is right in his goal, how he gets there, the journey, is more important than any other aspect, because there are questions to be answered. There are vistas to behold. There is a reason to get up in the morning. There is a fantasy that can become a temporary reality in opposing and stopping, or even just joining this crusade to change the world. And so we open later. Time, like every other aspect of story, is mutable. It's changeable. It adapts and adjusts to the pressures and tension of the story that they're in. So as is always the case, time fades. It eats away at things. It gets out of control and out of hand and speeds or slows at its own pace, regardless of what the motley has going on. And here we are, several portions of time later. The pizza smells great, as always. The beer is cold, as always. The truth of the matter is the world keeps spinning around them. And without defined, decided action, it will continue doing so to the beat of someone else's drum. And here they are, in the pub. The doorways to infinity behind the next corner, inside the next bathroom stall, inside the supply closet. The demigods and fantastical creatures of every myth moving around them. And here they are. The realities of all that they've dealt with, and the imagined peril that accompanies it. Just a hair's breadth from there, reaching out and grabbing. And here they are. There's something magical about fellowship and camaraderie. And even as each finds their way to deny, ignore, or not place stock in it, here they are. The wooden tables which have seen millennia of tales and stories played out around them. The glasses blown from the memory of the clearest, coldest, strongest glass ever in their hands on their tables. The soft, lilting music that says everything, and yet the words somehow escape them being able to sing along around them. And yet, here they are. There's magic in stories every time it's retold. There's magic in them every time they open their eyes. And here they are.
Did anything about what happened at the gallery show up in the news? Or, like, how much time has passed?
That is in fact the question. When last you beheld yourself, when last you were caught in your moment, you weren't here. When last you left yourself, this was not where you were.
Caleb looks at the others confused. Something feels wrong about this. I think... Were we here? How long have we been here? think I've had too much to drink.
So we're all there? In the same place?
Yes.
Okay. Carol, take a quick look around and try and piece together where exactly they are.
The pub where you last saw Tyke alive. The pub where you all were swept away to Arcadia. The pub where you all were threatened. And the pub that has become something of as close to a home as you all have ever had. The apartments you hold and places that you staked out for your own place aren't places that meld reality with the things across the hedge. Yet here, it is in fact that. It is a taste of home. The idea of it, even though none of you all have ever been home, here. You don't live here, you don't reside here, you don't pay rent here, though you're here often enough to have a favorite table, as does most of the regulars. A favorite table, a favorite stool, a position at the bar, or in some cases even just leaning against the jukebox that never seems to work for most people. Everyone has what has become them.
So just to make sure that I am not misinterpreting what you're saying, we don't know how we ended up here?
Correct.
Kira is going to go to the nearest window and have a look outside.
That's the beauty of the pub. From your position, you have a lovely view of Indiana. Well, I'm sorry, High Park Boulevard. You have the towering 5- and 6-story building across the street where the Thai restaurant is. You can hear the train, the metro, moving above and to the west of where the pub actually stares out onto the street. The cars, as always, jockeying for position, oftentimes driving around the block 30 or 45 minutes to wait for that perfect spot that will open up eventually if you stay at it long enough. There is arm-in-arm foot traffic that goes most of the night, and sometimes even longer, especially if there's a taste of Hyde Park in effect, where you get visitors from all over the city flooding into the area, flooding into the place. Well, that is the southern melting pot.
So, it looks normal, right? It doesn't look like
yes.
Okay. And then the next thing Kira's going to do is take out her phone and check the date and time.
That's a good question. What day and what time is it? When was the last time you actually looked at a clock? And we're aware of what day it was. The difference between then and now. The last time you paid attention to time outside of yourself was when you watched yourself die. When you watched another version, another story of you cease to be. By your watching warrant, as it were. It's either hours later or days later. But does that account for all the time that you've actually lived? Does that account for how you got here without remembering it? There is a small bit of a buzz and a fog to thoughts beyond it, but there is a susurrus whisper beneath it all. Oh, this may need an appendix. Perhaps we should make a note of that. And the bartender clears her throat just loud enough to be heard over the sound of the pub in full flow, the full action. Kira, honey, you okay?
Yeah, just a little out of it, that's all. Just thinking about stuff.
Yeah, you said next time you look out the window to, tell you to make a note of it. So, this is your, as requested, I guess, note call? Wake-up call?
Oh. Gotcha. Thinking quickly about what that could possibly mean, Kira is going to take out her usual notepad that she does her writing in.
Hazel just gives Kira the side eye.
In fresh ink, meaning in the last hour, last day, there's a simple missive that you've written to yourself. Sleep is for the weary, the wicked, and dreamers without measure.
Whoa, I'm getting some flashbacks to the Durance. Kira looks to Hazel and just says, "What the hell is on?"
Harmony comes floating in late as usual and slides into the booth.
I don't know.
You don't know what.
How long we've been here?
Here or here?
Here. And she will point at the table, kind of poking it a little violently.
A lot of beer will do that.
And there lies the real concern. There's only one glass on the table in front of you all. And you know that the pub only has a shoestring staff under the best of circumstances. So if you've been here long enough to have more than one, there should be 2, 3, several glasses, mugs, steins. There should be shot glasses. There should be pizza pans of consumed deliciousness. Yet there's the pizza on the table is still warm enough to have steam coming off of it. There are pieces missing and on your plates in front of you individually, but it should have cooled. It should have reached the perfect temperature for noshing in a rush, as it always is. Yet there's still steam coming off of it.
That's not it. What's the last thing you remember?
We were around a table, and we had just left a disaster of a fucking party. We were talking about Wednesday.
We were talking about his playbook, basically, and what he seems to plan to do. After that, I'm not sure how we got here.
Is Hazel's hair and makeup still high society, or has it gone back to normal?
No, it's her normal do, as it were. There's not any signs that she's being anyone else save herself.
So, we have apparently lost time, and I don't remember going back over the hedge at all, so we gotta figure out what the fuck happened.
Maybe this is jumping the gun, but, there wouldn't happen to be any mirrors or anything like that on the walls here, are there?
Just behind the bar.
What's the bartender's name?
And there it is. You've seen it written before, but you can't sound it in your mind.
I look over to the barkeep and see if they have a name tag.
No, it's a neighborhood full service pub of sorts. There isn't a dress code or uniform. Her long legs, as always, in short as she moves behind the bar, working up one sweat after another and keeping everyone's glasses filled, and their moments as enjoyable as they allow them to be.
Carol turned to the others. Okay, I might be able to do something, but I'm gonna need that mirror. So, can you possibly get the barkeep out from behind the counter so he doesn't stop me?
Do you need that specific mirror, or do you just need a mirror? Because I have a compact.
Well, I think I'm going to need that specific mirror, because I'll just come out and say it. I might be able to look into what happened within the last hour or week at this bar, but it will only show what happened from the angle that was witnessed by the mirror. Since your compact wasn't here, or maybe it was, but either way, that mirror has a view of basically the entire bar, so I think it would just be the best choice.
Okay, well, Aurora kind of looks down at themselves to see what they're wearing, because obviously, if things have changed somehow, They don't know what they have on.
Oh, and other people will be able to see it too. So, Kira looks around. Is there anyone else in the bar, or is it just us and the barkeeper?
Oh no, it's a busy post-work, pre-work, end of the week. You can tell that by the ebb and flow and activity of those around you. There's a power to certain moments, to certain things. The beginnings, the endings, the apexes, where two or more natural elements combined. Those are places of power and moments of power, even in places such as dreams. And this is one of those places, naturally. So it's a confluence of the end, the beginning, the middle, where earth and water becomes gas and energy, where the energy of the outside world becomes combined with the weight of Arcadia, with the weight of dreams made flesh. It is potent, to say the least.
Okay. So the thing about what I'm gonna do is that other people will be able to see it as well. So maybe we shouldn't do that in public. I don't suppose any of you are really good at swiping an entire mirror from behind the counter, are you?
I'm better as a distraction, so there's that.
There's a point when drinking and imbibing and being in your cups where things tend to blur one into the next. Most people are smart enough to never go that fully into their cups nor into their bottle of choice or into their DOC of choice. But then there are others who live preternaturally in that state. They not only climb into bottles, but they swim around the bottom for a couple of laps. And in those moments where everything gets a little fuzzy, for those so bent, the world finally makes sense. You keep trying to wrap your head around what you're wearing. As you look down, you tell me, and if you were going out to socialize by choice, what would it be that you would be wearing?
Let's just say picture Lisa Frank cheetah print bodycon, pretty good amount of cleavage, matching eyeshadow, and probably like knee-high boots.
Alright, that being the case, would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus empathy plus word for me, please? Get as high as you can.
Am I attempting to calm anything?
No.
Are we back to 1 glamour or still where we were?
Yes, you're at 1. you don't remember having this particular body con. You don't remember having it in quite this shade. Though, to be perfectly honest, this shade perfectly accentuates the undertones of your skin and makes your eyes sparkle. To be perfectly honest, this is the best fitting that you've ever had. You can't remember where you purchased this. To be perfectly honest, this is clearly outside of your price range. There's no way that it would be so sumptuously soft to the skin, so pleasing to the eye, nor as well fit as this without some significant expenditure of monies. Yet, you're thankful that you found it in your closet or wherever it is that you normally hang your clothing, because it is absolutely perfect. As you look down at your ensemble, you realize that you are designed to attract the eye. You are designed to elicit passing joy and fancy in those who find it appealing. You're not sure when you did your hair, but it is, as they say, laid. You're not sure how you got the opportunity to make sure that your makeup was immaculate. Yet it is in fact just that. As you run your hands along your ensemble, smoothing into place, as you say, I'm built for distraction. You realize, yeah, you came dressed for battle. You came dressed and girded for what exactly? Because if anything's a date night outfit, this is definitely that. If anything's a single and ready to mingle outfit, it is definitely this. How did you know you'd be in a situation where you need to do so?
I mean, she kind of fluffs the boobs. Look. You mean to tell me this wouldn't catch your attention? Though the strange thing is, I somehow feel like these aren't my clothes, but they are my clothes. If you get my meaning? I mean, obviously I'd wear this because I'm wearing this. I'm definitely wearing it. But this costs money that I don't typically usually have. So I don't know where the fuck it came from. But, I mean, gift horse, all that.
Kira raises an eyebrow, a little confused, but also kind of, sort of, possibly understanding.
You say so.
In other news, we're going to have to go talk to the court proper.
Whose court? Because I think I'm a different court than your court.
Isn't it the summer court right now?
Is it?
The court in the larger sense.
And there lies a problem. As you all consider that in the thoughts I tossed off, each court has its own leadership. And for the most part, in the grander scheme of things, they are willing to work with each other to get things accomplished. And while one court is more respected as a figurehead during their appropriate systems, to be perfectly honest, Chicago, like nearly every other Midwestern city, is a court of winter. Even when summer is in full bloom and at the height of its power, winter carries a significant amount of weight. Even when spring holds sway, winter carries weight. And especially their alliance with the autumnal court is the stuff of legends. And yet, and still, winter holds sway. Even in unseasonably warm moments, like what's happening outside of the window of the pub, even in places like this, like now, winter holds sway. There is a palpable feeling of outlasting and avoiding as many larger battles as possible while waging an innumerable number of small, shadow, clandestine affairs. Even while winter is holding sway, winter holds sway. It is not any stretch of the imagination that at any point, anywhere inside of the city and its real world version that you all inhabit, as well as its Arcadian mirror, that winter holds sway. The court of sorrow is a palpable thing. It infects and invests most things. Even under the sweetest of moments, the dreams of those who are within its grasp hold a touch of winter, a chilling, startling, single thing to remind you that even when winter holds sway. And with that thought percolating on a slow drip at the back of your minds and dancing around the edges of your recollections, the door swings open, and in walks Raoul, one of the many messengers of the court at all, serving the season who holds sway, who was also a knight errant of the winter court. There is a strange war aspect to him. Some say that he's one of the few to hold multi-oaths to differing courts across the nation, because he does travel from New York to Washington State and down to Florida and back across to California, across various kingdoms and freeholds, spreading the word and doing everything he can to uphold whatever other oaths he's maintained. And as he enters, there's a bracing touch of winter's kiss. The drinks grow cooler, the steam rising off of the pizza lessens, and he moves as if he has a favorite position, settles at one of the tables, nears the bar but far enough away that the bartender has to stride purposely towards him. She does so, as always, with a smile, because she's happy to serve. Almost as if she knew what his order would be before he bothered mentioning it. She just sets down a flagon of this, a plate of that, several herbs and twigs that approximate a salad, while a huge slab of meat, still blue-pink in the middle. Nice charred crust, the seasonings used, clear and apparent along the fat line. And instead of setting down silverware or tin or copper or sterling steel, she sets down a place setting made entirely of wood. And then she dances back to the bar. Without missing a beat, another drop pouring for one of the other guests.
Well, speak of the devil.
Awfully convenient.
Is he handsome?
In only the way that the coldest of things might be. There's a severe austerity about him. Even dressed in mundane attire, his jacket somehow always holding a touch of frost. His hair swept back, raven dark, and his eyes the exact color of an angry winter sky. The caramel tints and tones to his skin, the pale version of itself, the sort that would only be visible and viable during the winter months. And there's a small tinge of blue around the edge of his fingers as he dives into the meal. The wooden implements not slowing him down nor abating his hunger. But it's amazing that someone that relatively thin could put away so much food in such a small window of time. It's almost as if the horror stories of serving the armed forces is true. As if this was the first week for Chow and he had 30 minutes, but they actually only mean 2. And he has to clear his plate. And that's what just seems to be happening.
Well, if you'll excuse me, or come with, I don't care.
A little too chilly for me, Mama.
Harmony will give it a second, then she'll slide up and head that way.
There's a moment in almost every movie, moment in old cinema, held as a holdover from the stage. When a character strides upon the board, there is a moment of introduction, typically if they're of any note whatsoever. The background actors making way for them and clearing their path and making sure they have a clear line of travel to center stage, where the other players in that scene will meet them. In westerns, it's when the cowpoke or mercenary or gun hand stands in the doorway of the saloon, and everyone's eyes goes towards them, their gaze looking them over, raking them over, and seeing how dangerous this new arrival might be. In most music theater, there's a break in the melody, or the tempo changes. The lighting shifts and follows them. Even if it's something or someone in the background of a scene that is important, they'll be otherwise highlighted just enough for everyone to take notice of them. And that's what happens as harmony rises from the group's seating. There's a slow trickle of attention first, like water melting from icicles. And it grows into a pool as one gaze, either via the mirror or via her actual person, begins following her across the floor. It's almost as if the lights around Raoul dim just enough to make it apparent that he's of some import. The rest of the room growing darker, except for around him, and seemingly following the perfect path from where Harmony was to where she ends at the edge of his ring of light. Without missing a beat, almost as if it was planned by some Broadway director, he clears the plate just enough so that she has focus and he can continue eating.
Sorry to interrupt your lunch break.
Lunch, dinner, breakfast, it's much all the same. And he glances up, starting at waist height and moving forward till his eyes rest on yours. And it's clear for anyone being, well, nosy, that there is some play of light, there's some trick of the imagination, some sign that this is in fact the romantic lead for this portion of the play. You can almost hear the background dancers flitting and floating around you all. You can hear the tempo of the music switch to something a little lighter, a little more interested.
May I? She says, indicating a chair.
Of course. And he uses his foot to push the nearest one out for you.
She takes a seat. So, there's a problem. There's a problem brewing.
There usually is.
What do you know about Mr. Wednesday?
He comes after Madam Tuesday, before Mistress Thursday, and before Father Friday. Or are you speaking of the myths, the legends, the Norse pagan ideologies of the leader of the possessed?
One of us fancies himself such. It's been amassing a small army.
Sounds like a good battle. Where's yours? What forces do you lead, and how can we lead them into a glorious undertaking?
Well, here's the problem. People are choosing sides, which is natural, but this has rippled across the other side.
Yeah, most things do. Belief becomes fact. It becomes belief feeding into facts that make no sense. Simply because someone believed it was possible or dreamed it into being.
Here's the thing, though. If indications are true, they've taken notice and they're choosing sides.
That's always a bad thing. Perhaps we should... No, it's too dangerous. We don't have enough people who are willing to do anything. It's all but hopeless. But there's a chance. No, it's hopeless. So what would you have me do? How can I use my sword to please you?
I just wanted to kick it up the chain. I can go do it myself if it's necessary.
No, my sword is yours. It's not often enough where I meet another member of the court who's willing to do more than hide. You say this battle is worth our time and our energies, I will make sure that every noble has the opportunity to hear and pledge themselves to this battle, to stop this dread Mr. Wednesday from furthering the tear of the shroud, to rip the hedge, to otherwise make your day less pleasurable.
he like on the level, or is he just fucking with her?
Which would you prefer? Which would Harmony honestly prefer? With someone being so broad and over the top, someone who's clearly willing to pledge or oath or otherwise engage? Which would be the most honest wish of hers?
Well, she'd prefer that he's on the level, but she's dealt with the court before.
Yes, there's always another shoe to drop. There's always another something that needs more attention. It takes precedence. There's always something pressing just out there in. And as such, would you sometimes go ahead and roll your wits plus empathy plus word as high as you can?
That's 3.
Arousing complete success. That is the oddity of it all. There is a level of insincerity when dealing with people who don't break their words. There is a game always played with those who never outright actually lie. Yes, they can lie, but therein lies the problem. Whatever you speak into the world has a power and takes on a life of its own. So there are all sorts of games played using the implicit meaning of a word as well as its inherent to counteract one another. There is a hedging of bets and a way of weaving falsity with fact. And it takes a practiced hand and a wary mind to pick up on those things. So much so that many conversations amongst noble and higher ranking members of the lost often is a game of waiting and poking at just specific words to get the intended results. It creates a paranoia. And yet, as he speaks, as over the top as it is, you don't pick up on any falsity. There's no attempting to twist what the words mean so that you can get the opposite or slightly off-center. It is such a rare thing to speak plainly, directly, and over the top with all due honesty in both meaning and stated phrasing that it pulls her up short. It is such a rarity as to be nearly impossible. Yet here it is, in the flesh. Here it is, right before you. There's something so startling, explosively bright about that it all but takes her breath away. There are several lords around the city that I'll make sure that I get my hands on so that they can pledge themselves one way or the other so we know where they stand. If this Odin is really worth this effort, then he will be worth the effort to find a way to balance him and counteract his actions. As a matter of fact, and he calls out to the bartenders. He calls out to her, and somehow her name slips past you. Whatever it is that he says, she comes right over. This night's tab on mine, I will return with the lords of the land. Keep the fires burning till I return. And then he's off. as if someone wound him up like a tinker toy and sent him rushing towards the edge of the table. Tinka, 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 and he's off. The door closing behind him, the room suddenly a few degrees warmer, and his exiting.
She will return to the table and say, "So, they're coming. Lowercase t, not capital."
Speaking of coming, what was that whole thing, girl? Jeez, like, whew, for 2 winter court, y'all were steaming it up.
Not sure what gave you that impression.
All you had to do was listen to the words he was using because he was very, very dirty.
I sometimes forget what court you are. So then, as we wait, do we think the current issue with the clothing has something to do with the fetches?
I mean, could be, because my fetch is definitely living a much better life than I am, apparently.
Why am I affected?
Affected by what? The cold
By
that
this-
left?
Oh, one other thing. Kara will show the note that she had made about the sleep. I apparently wrote this at some point. Anyone have any idea what it means?
What does it say?
That's a good question. You're not sure what language she wrote that in.
Kira will recite it. And storyteller, please correct me if I'm wrong. Sleep is for the weary, the wicked, and the... Was it the dreamers?
Yes.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is, you're not sure. Those of you who can see the page, it makes no sense because that's not what's on that page. You're not sure what language that is, but that is no language that you all have ever seen before. There are swirls and hooks and backslashes, and it is in no language you could possibly dream of it being. There's no Cyrillic, there's no Turkish, there's no language that can be. There's just that's just an impossibility. It's just gobbledygook.
That all makes sense to you? Looks like a bunch of scribbling to me.
Hazel, you're Autumn Court, correct?
Correct.
There is and has been and as far as you are aware, always will be the fear of the written language, much like the fear of photographs and video, of taking what was and making sure that it remains, it stays. Part of the mythology of the picture of Dorian Gray is immortality at what cost? A wish granted, a dream lived in forever, basically, or at least a promise therein. There is magic in the written word, because it is taking the breath, the life, and forming it into a lasting effigy of itself. As a member of the court of fear, you know that there is validity there that is seldom actually acted on. And words that make no sense, symbols and signs. It's one of the reasons why the hieroglyphs and language of that time was carved into stone, for the immortality of the beings there, the Anunnaki and other demons and jinn, so that they would last forever, being able to reach through time, reach through dreams and thoughts and fantasies forever.
Is that actually your handwriting?
I think it is. Storyteller, when I look at it, does it look weird or does it look like normal writing to me?
It is your handwriting. It is your notations that you've taken for several hundred years. It is your shorthand and longhand combined. It is you on that page.
So then, yeah, I just say, this is how I normally write. Yeah.
He's just going to give it a very suspicious look.
Hazel, under your best surmising of the situation, under your best guess for where and what should that handwriting be, what does Hazel honestly believe, knowing the many myths, stories, tales told through time?
What does that phrase mean to you? Do you actually know that language?
Yeah. It's just shorthand. But as for the phrase itself, I'm assuming there's some deeper meaning to it, but I don't know what it is at first glance.
Would you like to?
Yes.
Excellent! Would you be so kind, my dear sir, to roll wits plus empathy plus word as high as you can?
The hell with it, I'm using a willpower.
There we go. Running with the
I
devil.
have doubled my successes.
Yes. Double is double. Alright. Sometimes it's not how a thing is said is simply what is in fact said. Sometimes the proof of the pudding is not only in the tasting, but in the looks of it. Sometimes a mystery is nothing more than a denial of what sits there in front of your gaze. And then other times it very much is none of the above. Kira is not prone to flights of fancy, even when talking with themselves, even with all of the fantabulous things that they have realized. It is a coin flip. Is there more implied, or is the inherent what matters? When controlling fate and when controlling the imagined somnophilic lives often lived, saying a thing often brings it to life. Some people say that the keepers themselves are nothing more than dreams who persisted past their dreamers, that they are nothing more than the imagined given full width and breadth of life. They were the first dreams of sleeping gods. They were the first dreams of sleeping ancients long since disappeared from the land, invested in by those left behind, magnified by each retelling of their original tales, shaped and shifted over time by belief. At least that's what some believe.
Okay. So, weird idea, but maybe it's supposed to be taken literally, and we're not supposed to sleep.
And why is that?
Are we talking a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type thing here?
Maybe?
The moment that Hazel says Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, defeating evil with science, separating the drives of good from the drives of ill, being overcome by those ills, you all hear more than see out of the window. Across the room there, someone running by, followed quickly on by two others running chasing them clearly. Children at play or adults at war. Hard to discern which is which these days.
Should we go find out why they're running?
Do you think that's gonna help us solve our predicament?
I mean, if somebody somehow wished the Tyrannosaurus Rex was running downtown Chicago, I think we would want to know that sort of thing.
Besides, which of our predicaments are you talking about?
You make an excellent point.
This could be a new predicament we don't even know about yet.
Or a new tie to an old predicament that we didn't expect.
Guess there's only one way to find out.
So off we go then.
See,
I mean, I'm not saying we can chase after them, I'm just saying look out the door.
so you guys move towards the door. In concert, separately, or not at all.
Well, Harmony goes towards the door.
Kira will also follow and go to the door.
Phil was going to eat her slice of pizza.
Aurora's fortune knows you for her own good, so she would go look.
There is a definitive moment in every event, in every series of events. There is a point known as a tipping point where it's gone too far to do anything except for fall. When the matter is so far gone, there's nothing more to do but to follow through and find yourself or your pieces and pick them back up afterwards. The moment you all cross midway of the bar, there is a realization across everyone that this is in fact that point. And as you all continue towards your door to find out why someone running at this hour of the evening and on a Chicago early spring, late winter evening, it is 52 after. Let's come back at exactly 10 after the hour. See you guys in a few moments. Alright folks, how we doing?
I'm back.
And welcome back. So, how we doing? Everyone put it together? Everyone knows where we are?
Absolutely not.
Or either I'm gonna take a couple wild guesses.
I have another theory, but it's fine.
Back.
Welcome back, welcome back. Roar, we're back. Not as of yet. All right. Do 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 do. All right. Well, that's that. We are 8 minutes past. Well, 6 minutes past to be exact, but 8 minutes past the hour. So that being the case, there are 1,000,001 different ways of achieving life's goals. For every person, there's a particular path that they can take to get where they need to get, to arrive at their destination, at where they envision themselves to be. There are quotes in every language, many of them nonverbal. There are quotes in every feeling, following every theme about getting where you need to be. So when we last left the Motley, we're sitting in their favorite booth at their favorite bar. The pizza steamingly hot, the beer cold enough to send shivers down Jack Frost's spine. The evening, right at the apex of the end of the business day, at the beginning of the business night, the incoming and outgoing other members of the bar carrying on, because there's power at the beginning of things and power at the end, power at the apex, and where two elements combine. There is power coursing through nearly every fabric of the pub. It is a beautiful, quiet, late winter, early spring evening in Chicago. And the problem stretching out before the coterie, before the motley, before the group of heroes is, as always, innumerable. There's faces to some problems and feelings to others, yet they have conflated and combined. And the outcome is anyone's guess as they sit mulling over all of the decisions that have led them here. The glasses in various states of full, the plates in various states of being enjoyed. The bartender, as always, her long-legged, beautiful self, moving with a skill and grace that defies logic. The regulars in their chosen positions around the pub. You at your favorite table, those there at their favorite positions at the bar, those at their table, and what have you. And the music wafting in the background, encapsulating feelings even as the words manage to escape you. While you can't sing along, you are sure it's a tune that you've heard several hundred times before. You know it as an old favorite, or a new find, or some state in between.
Maybe I missed it, but what did we see running down the street?
When? What are you talking about?
We went to investigate a minute ago.
Yes, when we last left the Motley, they were at their favorite table. Time passes as it always does, with a mind of its own. The questions sitting there before you are several, manyfold, and spread out into infinity on your horizon line. You're at your favorite table, at your pub, which has the only taste of home that suits denizens such as yourself, neither of the flesh, the spirit, or the mind, but a combination of all of the above.
Okay, what's going on? Someone's fucking with time. Or the perception of it.
Not me.
But isn't that what someone who would do that would say?
Kira looks around, wondering, and says out loud, how did we get here?
Hazel just holds up her piece of pizza and takes a bite.
Kira will look out the window to see if they're actually in the real bar or if they're in, like, if things look weird outside.
Yes. The usual fight for parking as several cars drive around and maybe driving around the next 30-45 minutes to find just the right parking spot. The nearly constant foot traffic that stretches into the evening, even on the best of days, sometimes even longer if there's a taste of Hyde Park when you bring denizens from all over the city towards the neighborhood to partake of all of the fine cuisine that dots the landscape. You can hear just to your west, just to the left outside of the door, the metro passing by. And the bartender, whose name you know but can't place at the tip of your tongue, says, Kira, is everything okay?
Yeah. I just was, just looking out the window, seeing if...
Yeah,
wondering about...
Yeah, I guess I'm your wake-up, your alarm clock. You said, if you were to look out the window again, to look in your notebook, so I guess I'm like your note rooster.
Oh, thanks. And Kira will pull out her notebook and look at it and try and make a note.
There in fresh ink is your handwriting, stating that dreams are for the weak, the wicked, and the weary. You had a feeling, you have a feeling, that note is incomplete. Yet you feel the truth of it. As if you were taking down a note from something actually transpiring.
Kira goes back, or looks at the rest of the motley and says, when did I write this? Does anyone know what this might mean? And Kira will show them the note and recite it back.
Are we getting the sense of deja vu?
Are you?
Well,
my head's kind of hurting. I think we've been through this before.
Yeah, especially being as looking at Kira's handwriting makes no sense. Like, there's no language this side of the veil, the other side of the hedge, or in the imaginations of dreams, is whatever those hash marks and swirls and curlicues is any way, shape, fashion, or form a language. Is Hazel a member of the Autumn Court?
Yes.
There's a funny thing about
She sure is.
words, written language, and pictures, and video, a way to ensure for posterity all manner of things, as if it was capturing something in the past and yeeting it into the future, as if there was some immortality that could be gained. It's one of the reasons why the many spirits, demon, jinn, and Anunnaki of ancient Egypt used hieroglyphs to capture the language, so that they could whisper forward through time, dream, and imagination, that they can assure their immortality.
So, would her hedge sense or trained observer help her with this any?
Hedge sense, no, you're not in the hedge. Trained observer, she's been sitting watching this play out for God knows how many evenings, God knows how many hours. So, yes and no. What does she think it should be?
Yeah, I feel like Groundhog Day. Like, at the moment, this guy's gonna walk in.
Okay.
We're gonna do it. She's not too terribly entirely sure. She is going to ponder on it.
That being the case, with those doubts expressed, would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus empathy plus word as high as you can?
How's it for you?
Not bad. Not bad as far as such things go.
And of course, there's her cloak of autumn, or cloak of leaves, if that would count into this too.
Who amongst the motley presently has willpower damage?
So I do, but that was before everything reset. So do I still have it?
Yes.
Okay, then I have willpower damage.
Yo.
With 4, you are 1 over the intensity. The motley immediately, those of you with willpower damage, that with the weight of reality and other people's imaginations weighing down and sapping your mental fortitude, dissipates. The moment that you express your doubt in this reality, your doubt in this moment, and you take a mental step in that direction, certain things begin to seem out of place. In your pub, for instance, your favorite table is in fact a table, not a booth, yet you're in a booth. In the pub, you know without intending to everyone's name as you look out into the faceless crowd of other dreams, such as yourself, other beings of Arcadia bound to this world. Names escape you. There's a sense of you always having been here and not remembering how you got here. Did you drive? Did you bike? Did you walk? Did you take an Uber? Or did you splurge on an actual cab? How did you cover the distance from your apartment to here? What are you wearing?
She is probably, wearing what she typically does. Something, innocuous. Jeans, t-shirts, hair down.
Exactly so, but what's the name of the band on your shirt?
Don't know.
Exactly, but
wait, what?
no, exactly.
Question.
Looking down at your shirt, you can't read the name of the band. It is your
To
chip.
look at it in the
Mm-hmm.
backwards.
And you attempt to stand and move closer to the bar so you can see your shirt in the mirror. Maybe it was a misprinting. Maybe. But no, you can't read the name.
It's going to sound like the dumbest question ever. What does my shirt say?
Kira will look at the shirt. Try and read it.
You don't speak whatever that is. It doesn't. It's shaped like letters and words, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Looking at it, he says, for all I know, that says Cthulhu Fatagan.
The moment you say Cthulhu, somewhere out there in the dark, something stirs, causing the ground to ripple. You're sure?
Oh dear God, no.
You're sure that some sleepy New England town is being beset by waves reaching into the sky. You're sure that some watchtower sitting on the rocks is being bashed and abused by the hands of the sea.
Oops.
We're at least not in the hedge, so that's not there.
Are we
Are you
entirely
sure?
Yeah, I'm like 98% sure. Now, being inside of a mirror? Possibly. That's entirely different.
No, I think it's more likely that we are in a dream. Because, you know how in dreams, like, words become gibberish?
The moment you say that, Kira, would you be so kind to roll your intelligence plus empathy plus word? Your DC is 4.
DC is 4, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you all are back at your table. You're waiting on Kira to finally arrive. As always, they are later than they should be. The pizza is steaming and hot. The beer is cold enough to give Jack Frost frostbite. And as per usual, it is a beautiful, clear, crystal Chicago night. Late winter, early spring. There is the immediate sound of song that you've all grown accustomed to. You can't remember the words to it, but you know that if you really tried, you possibly could sing along even though you can't remember what the lyrics are. While in another place, Kira, would you be so kind as to describe your resting nook, your space that you've carved for yourself inside of Hazel's apartment, Hazel's one-room home?
So I imagine that she lives in a relatively plain room, or her corner of the room. Just like a bed with very simple sheets, and a desk for her writing. There is a desktop computer there because everything is digital nowadays, so to submit her quote-unquote writings by email to her newsletter, or not newsletter, to her journal. There are plenty of books on a shelf next to this desk. Most of them are a mixture of educational books about writing and various styles. Others are books regarding mythology and folklore, specifically around Germanic and English folklore.
There is a page in your nearest book. You find your hand resting on it, the tip of your index finger resting at the beginning of a paragraph, and your middle finger a few words along as your thumb holds the book open. It seems as if you fell asleep while reading. You can clearly remember you all calling it a night, because even though you are creatures of dream, even as you are beings of apocryphal, even as you are from across the hedge, there is a limit to how much and how long you can persist. There is, as you glance down at the beginning of the phrase, Wotan, Wotan, Wodan, Wodans, Lord of Frenzy, Inspired Delirium, Raging Possession, Frenzy, that furor, and on and on and on. Several definitions and translations of what olden means. All of it circling around insane, frenzy, wild, frantic, crazy. And yet, there's another definition that dances right there at the edge of that paragraph, going in and all the adjectives of what Odin and the variations on the theme meant. Be thrill, violent agitation. But there's a part that stands out, even more so than the possession aspect of it. Song, noise, and several kaleidoscopic neurons bombard into one another and spread across your cerebellum as thoughts begin to compile upon themselves. And there's a eureka moment, though you're not sure what it is that you've in fact discovered, but you're sure that you've discovered whatever it might be. And as per your usual, when you are excited and you are interested in a thing and something has possessed your imagination, the urge to write, as well as notify your motley, to notify Hazel of that discovery. You see her sleeping there on her bed, curled up against whatever forces she is aligned against or making friends with in that land of dream. One fitful turn after the next.
Kira's first instinct is to try and shake her awake.
And as you cross the floor, it feels as if there's a momentous energy building each step, weighing more than the last, growing exponentially as the sound of your footfalls finally become cacophonous. At your favorite table, with the pizza steaming, it's delicious as always, there is the very real concern as to where Kira is. She's late and has her own flights of fancy, but the fact that she's not here makes it seem less of a celebration. After all, that is what this is, right? You all were celebrating something, right?
Aurora's kind of like taking with the music and humming something that sounds vaguely like Evanescence.
So in this, go ahead.
She's just kind of like twirling a braid around her finger, humming.
In this new vision, are we at our table or are we at a different table?
That's a good question. Are you guys in the booth or are you at the table? As you begin trying to suss out where you are, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll? You do have a +1 in this regard. Your wits plus empathy plus word as high as you can. Your table is always the best to see the entirety of the pub, to get the full view of the small stage there in the corner and the jukebox that rarely ever works except for those who are determined to make it work. Unlike most of the modern jukeboxes, there's no way for you to dial in using the app on your phone. Unlike most of the modern jukeboxes, they actually have 45s inside of that jukebox, and the bartender, as always, in her inimitable way, is managing to serve a pub full of people without anyone complaining about how long it's taking, or without anyone getting a drink that is not the proper temperature from the tap or not watered down. She is a whirling dervish of luxuriously executive service. It is clear her experiences have enabled her to utilize the speed and gifts of Arcadia in the real world. It is a glorious, lovely Chicago evening, late winter, early spring. And yet, your table, your favorite table, is chosen because it's perfectly level. It gives you visions of everything in the bar. All of the doors, the restrooms, the bar. You can almost see out the window there just past the bar, the mirror behind the bar, the doorway into the kitchen. And yet, your table seems unlevel. There's a small rock to it that is never there. Even the floor has worn just enough so that your table sits perfectly flush at all times. And yet, there's an annoying rock. You notice it as you lift your slice to your mouth. That ooey gooey, perfectly cooked cheese and the scent of spices used, the Italian seasoning, the small hint of red pepper, the glorious pungent aroma of garlic in their actual sauce is just sweet and savory enough and just greasy enough that it coats and abides all of the drinking that you've done. Speaking of which, your beer is surprisingly full, yet you feel as if you've had a night out.
Put her pizza back down and poke the table to make it rock.
Rock.
This isn't right.
Rock. Rock.
She'll lean over and you said there was a rock holding it up.
No, the floor has worn so that the table sits flat. Even if there was one leg that was slightly shorter by a fraction of an inch than another, the floor is worn perfectly to keep the table absolutely perfectly level at all times. Even Tyke couldn't cause it to be imbalanced, yet here it is.
This isn't our table. It's wrong. She just keeps poking it and making it wobble.
Harmony, Aurora, seeing your table rock is literally like seeing one of the hand-carved crucifixes with Buddy Christ moving to the tune of whatever song you're playing. It is startling.
Alright, that's not right. Are you sure we're not in the hedge?
I would feel it if we were.
So what is this then?
Quick, pinch me.
So we'll pinch her.
There's something there's something horribly, entirely offensive about that. You all don't touch each other. You barely share conversation with one another. The moment that is mentioned and tossed out, would each of you be so kind as to roll your intelligence, empathy plus word? Because something is not right. There is a disturbance in the force, and there's no power in the world that can hold you all against your will save yourselves. Save your word. Save your agreement as such. And yet, the moment that it is suggested, the moment that you all acquiesce, the moment that you all stand to begin to do so, there is the feeling of wrong. When you do all roll, Hazel, you will receive a +1 because of the effects of someone who is attempting to rouse you from present. Oh, wow. It is a glorious evening in Chicago. It's a beautiful near end of winter, early spring. You are in your favorite pub, your taste of actual home, away from the pressures of your lover, friend, compatriot, who wants so much more of you than you can possibly offer. You're waiting on your motley to arrive, and as per usual, they are late, as always. The pizza is absolutely delicious. You're sitting at your favorite booth where you're able to watch the entirety of the building. The beer is flowing cold and clear, with just enough punch to make sure that even those amongst you, the trolls, are able to get their proper satiation of inebriation. And as per usual, your motley are dragging their feet to arrive, and you're not sure which one of you called this. You just know that it wasn't you, and you are here waiting for their arrival harmony. While elsewhere, somewhere out there in the night, somewhere out there in the day, time does what time does. There's an end to all things, and that end comes when we least expect it. With heavy foreboding and shadows clinging to the very corners of the wall, seeming to come to life, Kira stands over you, almost as if they were preparing to feed on the very marrow of your soul. The dark shadows and spooky spirits that dance just there at the periphery of vision, adding to this moment. She seems to be lit from within by some flame and glow that has no place in this world or the next. Gazing up at Kira's face, so stricken and worried and horrid, leaves a strange taste in Hazel's mouth. While across town, well, across the neighborhood, as it were, Aurora, there's nothing more sad than waking up after a one-night stand and realizing that you are alone. That you drank yourself into inebriation and into sobriety, and then once more back into inebriation. You're sweaty, the blankets and sheets tangled under your limb, and the stench from above somehow managing to eke and slip through the very floor itself. Last night's exertions clearly having left their mark on you and your mattress. You sit up with a very distasteful understanding of where you were, what you were doing, who you were doing it with. Or do you? And as each of the motley finds themselves as wakeful as they are able, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And I like it.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.